Big shout out to everyone watching this Jrod Point. Very happy to be here. Very gracious. Very favorite to be here. Very appreciated. Big shout out to Amy Conway. Big shout out to Jane. Thank you so much for being here. Let's get to the chat. I'm the host of the most, the thing to the tango, the G to the Django, Jrod Point. Tonight topic: Idaho for Bryan Kohberger case. Well, Murphy, it's your turn to try to get justice for Kiely and her friends. That's tonight's topic. Big shout out to the chat. Big shout out to the chat. Big shout out to the Jrod Angels. Big shout out to the Jrod Angels. Different. So, after a very long intro and acknowledgement. Oh yeah, babe. She on point though. She does have a temper. I don't know if the temper comes from her mom or her dad. I don't know. I really don't know. But what I do know is that she have a temper. Big shout out to my youngest. He different. But yeah, tonight is a very, very, very important topic in this Idaho for Bryan Kohberger case. The topic of Murphy, Kiely's dog, is been out there for a while. But I'm very glad and very happy that Echoes of Clarity and Christine Nevada, big shout outs to you. I'm very, very glad that they had a conversation about it. And actually they have a lot of homework. They have a lot of information about it. So I will definitely refer you to them to get a little bit more extra understanding about the topic. They are actually tagged. They are tagged on this live stream. We have Heather Fitzgerald, Kane, Kane Beats Disperse, Kathy, the indie song. Big shout out to Kathy. Thank you for the support. We appreciate you. Echoes of Clarity, Christy Nevada, and of course Slutty Goose. We haven't talked to Slutty Goose for a while. So I tag her there, kind of like give her a little ring to see if she pop on in the chat. Big shout out to Slutty Goose. I did also link the live stream of Echoes of Clarity and Christy Nevada. They did a great live stream with a lot of information about the topic that we're gonna talk about. So if anybody, please make sure that y'all go hit the link, go and show love. Give him a subscribe, give him a like, give him a share. Let him know that you're coming from the On Point family, and the Jrod Point sending a big shout out because they're doing a great job in the true crime community. It's only fair that we share awareness of other content creators that are doing a great job in the true crime community. Is good and it's fair to share the content when content is great. Big shout out to them. So yeah, we have Echoes of Clarity full live stream link on the description, and we got their channels tag also in the description. So make sure that y'all give them a subscribe to everyone that is tagged on the description. We appreciate the great work, the great job that they're doing in for the true crime community. But I think Jane and Amy, they could both agree that we have spoke about Murphy and his situation here in this channel. But I wanted to leave it alone because it's like I needed more information to actually confirm my thoughts, confirm my theory, confirm, in the way that I've been thinking about Murphy and how everything not just is being spread around about how it went down, but also what we do know that is in the court paperwork. I really gotta thank Echoes of Clarity and again Christian Nevada for having great conversations about topics that actually matter. Because if you ask me, when I heard some of the information that they brought up to the table, like I did listen to the whole live stream. It was a great listening. It was a great listening. Very, very straightforward, very cool, very chill, great and very digestible. Um, I sit here while I'm playing my game and doing some editing because it's like I multitask. Like I put a good podcast, I listen to a good podcast that I know that I could learn some, and I play my game while I edit my I got multiple screens. So I play my game, edit videos, and listen to great podcasts because I like to listen. I like to listen to people that I know that I could learn something from them. That I know that I could learn something positive and something that I could, what I'm saying, not just get information and get different thoughts, different point of view, but I could also um have a good time while I'm listening to it. And it's big shout outs to them. So y'all make sure y'all go and subscribe. But it was a great conversation what they have. Make sure y'all hit the link and visit their live stream and visit their channel. They've been having all the conversations. I was supposed to go live with this topic yesterday, but I was like, I got excuses. I'm tired. So yeah, big shout out to them though. They're doing a great job. They're actually a great listening. For real, for real. They're great listening. So I'm not gonna enter into much details on what they were talking about because I really want you to go over there and listen to the details, right? But I'm basically, and I'm very happy that I have Amy and have Jane here on the chat because they've been here when we've been having these conversations. Joanne, Cindy, Kathleen, all the ladies, they've been here. They have heard this. So I know if they were here, they'll vow for that. But Murphy, hold on. He went to he went to Moscow with Kiely to go and visit her friends, right? That's what is being shared. You know, if you ask me, we can only talk about what is being shared from the story, what is being shared with the public, what is being commented and talked about online and in YouTube and whatnot. Because again, that's all what I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about. Then I'm gonna give you my opinion, but I'll definitely want to talk about more of what is being said out there. Okay, so Kiely took Murphy with her, right? Because that's what the story said. But we don't know if Murphy was with Jack DeCole. Like we don't know that. Like we don't know if, for example, we really don't know the status of Murphy until the cops mention Murphy being sitting in Kiely's room with the door wide open. Can we agree on that? Can we agree that in reality no one knows Murphy's status is until in the police report said that they found Murphy sitting inside of Kiely's room, all Kiely's room, with the door wide open. From what we heard, now he's in the room. A puppy, a dog, is in the room, not moving, with the door wide open. I'm not even going to talk about if it makes sense or not, because again, is certain things, is some information that is very self-explanatory. From what we heard from 10-month-old, big shout out to Amy Conway. Let me say my question is always been, where was Morphine with Kiely at the corner club? He was only, I think, 10 months old, and that's, and we did spoke about this, and we had the same question. We brought that same question to the attention of the community, that if Kiely and Maddie were at the corner club, and the information is that Ethan and Santa was not at the house neither. That only leave Dylan and Bethany at the house if they were at the house. But it seems that Bethany was out too. And again, we're talking about was information that is being out there in the public and in court paperwork. So we're talking about not far-fetched stuff. We talking about factual stuff that people have put out there, and the factual stuff in the court paperwork. So again, we're not talking about nothing that some other people have not talked about yet. So Jack DeCool, for what it seems in the pictures, right? On the still picture, it seems that he was at the corner club also and talking to Kiely on the still picture. So we know that Murphy was not there with him at the corner club. And it was not like Murphy was parked outside on Kiely's Range Rover, because obviously they were walking. So what Murphy could go and again, they found his cage in Kiely's Land Rover, right? I want you to correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. So if they found Murphy's cage inside of the Land Rover, that means that whoever had Murphy knew that person to the point to be chill, be chill with that person. So let's say Dylan would be the only one at the house, and whoever she had in the house was her. And Mikan would say, "Oh, I agree." And if he ran back in the house, he even bad Murphy will have. Oh, he's no, yes. We'll definitely gonna get to that though. We're definitely gonna get to that. Definitely, we're gonna get to that. Oh, what, Kate? Do y'all think that the Kiely would leave um Murphy locked in her old room, probably with some water, probably with some food? But do you really think that she would have left Murphy inside of that room without no one taking Murphy out to you know to do needs and stuff, or some, I don't see, I don't see, I don't know why I don't see Kaylee leaving Murphy unattended. I don't see that. You could correct me if I'm wrong anytime on the chat. But I do not see Kaylee leaving Murphy like on her old room unattended. I don't think she'll do that. But again, I could be wrong. Leave the dog inside of the room. If he poop, he poop. You do needs in the floor. And I guess she thought that she would clean it whenever she come back or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Um, Amy said the cage in the back of her car. Yes, thank you, Amy. So, so that means he was either with someone. He was like, let's say, loose around the house with Dylan. I don't know if y'all could hear the train. We in Ohio. The train run the state. Um, Again, Ethan and Sana was not at the house because all the story, um, right? That's what it makes sense to me though. I think that Dylan, you see the whole reason why people say that Dylan lured her to Moscow, and then something happened that she ended up not actually either going to the party and she stayed at the house, or again, is not a lot of things clear about the information per se, but what we do know for what is being put out there, okay, is that Dylan invited Kiely to be her plus one or whatnot, but then she ended up hanging out with Maddie, not with Dylan. So something happened when Kiely got there. Something happened when Kiely got there that she ended up not hanging out with Dylan and ended up hanging out with Maddie. My question is, what would have happened between Dylan and Kiely for them to not end up going together to the party they said they were going? We don't know what type of cancellation was that. We don't know if it was a fight. We don't know if it was an argument between Kaylee and Dylan. We don't know the type of cancellation or type of gravity, if any, in the situation, if a situation occur, if, and many if. In my opinion, Dylan used Murphy to lure her home and outside as well. We could talk about that too. We could talk about that too, because we don't know if the attack started in the back of the house. We don't know. Like, the argument, the pushing and shoving towards the upstairs, if it was any, going outside to bring the dog to pee and poop or whatnot, and also at the same time probably see someone for the very last time, because the conversation is that that was supposed to be Kaylee very last time in that whole area, and she wouldn't see the people surrounding her by then, ex-boyfriend, friends, haters, whatnot. It would be the very last time that she would see all of them, because she was about to be gone with her new life. I believe that Murphy was in those plans. I don't think that she was about to leave Murphy with her ex-boyfriend. And if it was some kind of attachment, real love, emotional, sentimental affection bond between um, the ex-boyfriend, also dog owner, we know that their relationship broke up abruptly. Like it was a relationship that was broken abruptly out of nowhere. That we know that for a fact because even Kaylee's mom said it on the interview. That actually we know that for a fact through Kaylee's mom because she said it. She broke up with Jack for no reason. She was being a brat. Kaylee's mom said that in the interview. That Kaylee was being a brat. They didn't give the boy no reason, but they were supposed like she needed some space or whatnot, and that they were supposed to get back together in the future. But then how can they think that they would have got back together in the future? What that part of it was even said? Because for our understanding, by the time Kaylee died, Jack already had another girlfriend. That's what they say. I don't know. I don't know. That's what they say, right? The Jack already had another girlfriend, right? I don't know if emotional, mental attachment between, let's say, Jack and Murphy, and Murphy leaving with Kaylee was a problem. We don't know if she told Jack the call, yeah, I'm gonna leave you. I'm gonna leave Murphy with you while I travel and I go and do what I go and I gotta do. We don't know if we don't know that side of the story. If by any chance Kaylee knowing that he would have problem with taking Murphy, she told him, "Yeah, I'm gonna keep. I'm gonna leave Murphy with you." But then at last moment, she told him the truth, probably through Adam, telling him that you're actually taking Murphy and you're leaving in the morning and you taking Murphy with you. We don't know if that could be a motive. We don't know that. And we can only speculate because we know is multiple male DNAs inside of the resident, inside of the crime scene, around the crime scene, and within closer proximity of the victims is multiple male DNA samples besides the alleged microscopical, almost imaginary Bryan Kohberger DNA on the night shift, on the brass button on the night shift. Yeah, Jane said nah, she was more just in a way. I agree with you, Jane. In a way, it sounds like a woman that is moving, cause that is moving on. Cause if she had any respect for him and she was really thinking about getting back with him, she would not broke up with him, not telling him the reasons why. Cause everyone, man and female, we just want closure, and that goes to man and female. do you think Jack with Dylan? Well, you see, we have never heard nothing such, but it wouldn't be far fetched. Like it wouldn't be something that if I hear it wouldn't surprise me. Because remember, 9 times out of 10, all wait, when it's a close group of friends, when it's a close group of friends, right? And let's say you're arguing with your girlfriend, or you know that your girlfriend is cheating on you or whatnot, or you know that something's wrong within you and your relationship and whatnot. It wouldn't be far-fetched to think that whenever Kaylee was not at the house and stuff or whatnot, or they probably, they said that Dylan had a boyfriend and whatnot, but again, we don't know the mathematics of their relationship or whatnot. But if you ask me, in a small group of friends, you could always see friends playing with friends. You know what I'm saying? Like you see that, especially when they drink, when they're partying hard or whatnot. The opportunity to be by themselves and play and stuff like that. Again, we never heard nothing like that. We did heard that Jack had like a girlfriend, but no details about the young lady or whatnot. Like we didn't try to look into nothing. We just listen to whatever it was said. We just keep on moving with the information because it's more important things to talk about in this case than those small details back then. But then now it seems that those small details are becoming something that I think we should look into a little bit more in depth, because it might be something important that we might didn't see, or we thought about it, we seen it, but we needed a little bit of more information to actually get to a clear conclusion. And I think together, what we have in this conversation, please click like, subscribe, and share the content. I believe that what we have in this conversation, we could get to some good thoughts about what could be the whole Murphy situation. Amy Khan would say emotional issues brewing, in my opinion. It seems, some ladies, some male and some females are the type that they bottle things up. They bottle things up to the point that um sometimes they don't want to talk about things. Sometimes they don't know how express certain emotions. Is some people that they just don't know how to articulate themselves and just give like the proper picture of what they want to talk about. It's sometimes like people bring the wrong tone to a conversation. Like in my opinion, sometimes people don't know how to bring the right tone to a conversation. I think that when you have a conversation with people and you are approaching a situation, you should have a good exchange of conversation, and just to make a point across, and be clear on whatever the conversation is, that being around the bush, and leave things hanging and no closure and stuff, like certain topics they just stand in the air and there's no finishing the topic or finishing the conversation or whatnot. Jane said, yes, students, house group, and friends have a lot of issues and secrets. Yes. A lot of people mess with each other in the closet and whatnot. You know what I mean? This is, they look at us having fun. It's a college thing. We know how many, sex tapes of college students is out there, because, you could see in the web, they exposing each other and stuff. Like it's crazy to see that they bringing their personal sexuality to the internet. You know what I mean? And it's weird to see, like, Like in Twitter and stuff like that, you see a lot of stuff like college people just going nuts. And back in the days when I was young, it was all for the love of the party, but then now I'm a grown adult and I have children. I look at it, it's like it's unfortunate. Again, they, they look at it as again the spirit of the party or whatnot, but it shouldn't be in a way, the exaggerated way. Again, you if you're gonna do certain things while you party, just keep that shit to yourself. Like, don't bring it to the internet, because it will create a lot of troubles. Like, if by any chance any type of like sex tapes between boyfriend and girlfriend, like that could be also a motive between a boyfriend or ex-boyfriend and ex-girlfriend. Let's say a sex tape comes out of nowhere of, let's say, um the female having intercourse with, let's say, the friend of the boyfriend at the moment. That could bring motive for something like that. And again, it's like Jane says, it's a lot of secrets, it's a lot of things that you know people, when they party, it happens, like it's gonna happen. But then the thing is, like, if it's those secrets, like what you going to do, or what would be the consequences of those secrets coming out, you know? um but going back to Murphy, I love when we develop, but I want to keep it on Murphy. So we don't know if Kiely would have told, you're gonna keep the dog. It's all good, but then change her mind, and then now that becomes an issue or whatnot. We don't know that, but I think it'll be a good conversation. It'll be a fair topic to talk about. Um, Also, who had Murphy while Kiely was out dealing? Because we believe Ethan and Santa got to the house around like 2:20. Because let's give him 10 minutes. Because if they left the grub truck 2:10, like in the clock, when they see that they left in the clock 2:10, let's give him 10 minutes, give and take, to get back to the house or to go wherever they were going around the block and then get to the house. Let's give him 10 minutes of all, because the grub truck and where the house at, like, it's really not that far, especially on a vehicle. And it depends how you drive or whatnot. So who had Murphy? It had to be Dylan, right? Or any other friend that they knew, that they trustworthy to leave Murphy with them at the house. That she knew that they would take care of Murphy while she was out. Jay said Dylan. What was the reason why Dylan didn't went out with Kiely? why Kiely was not dressed like to go out. Can anyone thought about that? Why Kiely was not dressed like to go out? Maddie was not dressed like to go out. They were dressed like just shit that you wear at your house. And we know we seen the pictures and the way they dress when they gonna go out. They were not expecting to go out. It looks like they just went out for a second, boom. I guess like something like getting called to, yo, come to the corner club. We here. It could be Jack, talk like we don't know the information on the phone, right? So let's say Jack, yo, listen, come by the corner club, before you leave, let's talk, let's, have a little drink or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Let's move things out or whatnot. Or try to have like a last chance, a last opportunity to convince her to not be gone. Let's say that was that. But they were not dressed like to go out. Again, if Dylan invited her to a party, and that was the whole reason why she went to that house. If the only sole reason it was because Dylan invited her to be her plus one, and then at the same time, the Land Rover came all about. So then now let's kill two birds at once, let me go and hang out with the girls for the last time and show my Land Rover and whatnot, right? Last minute thing, all going to stay in and something change, right? Yeah, because they were dressed like just to staying in clothes type shit, like sweater. It was cold. We don't know how they have the heater. We don't know if the windows were leaking. We don't know if the house like it was like thin paper wall. We don't know how cold it could be inside of the house. We with the heater on. It was cold around that time. Or let's say starting to get cold. Some snow on the floor. You know what I mean? Entering the winter. But it seems like it was a last minute decision in the same way we hear the conversation that they were talking about in the third floor about going out to the grub truck and get food after they already came from it. What about if that conversation happened way before and they actually talking about the conversation that happened when actually Kiely and Maddie left to go to the corner club, or probably they left to go to the grub truck, and on the way of the grub truck, Jack called, oh yeah, I'm going to the grub truck, get some food. Yo, you should come through and take a drink or two or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Talk a little bit. You go back, get your food, go back to the house. I'm probably gonna meet you there and whatnot. Party, having a little party before you leave. And give you a good a sent off. You know what I'm saying? Give you a sent off party. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it could have been a girls' night in. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like something happened for Kiely not going nowhere with Dylan. What happened from having the conversation of plus one? What happened between having the conversation of being the plus one all the way up to Kiely get into the house? What it changed? What that didn't occur? Because it didn't. They didn't went out together. They ain't even went out to the Sigma Chi event. It seems like because the weather and whatnot, and probably Kaylee knew she was about to drink that night. She didn't want to risk driving because she's a very responsible person and don't want to lose her license and stuff like that, and she know that if she does that, it's a chance that she could lose her license. Also, if there's snow on the floor, she could, avoiding crashing, avoiding a lot of stuff. It seems like she was very conscious of the do's and don't. Rest in peace to all. Something changed. Not hanging out with Dylan, but what was the reason? What was the change of plans? Why the change of plans? What happened for Kaylee and Dylan not ending up hanging out as plus ones at the sorority party? Because this was all a sorority party, right? At the same sorority that she was not a member from no longer, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Comment in the chat. Jane said, yep, Dylan manipulated something, I think. Dylan is in the middle of everything for what it seems like. For what it seems like, Dylan is in the middle of all. But then the thing is, if she's willingly being in the middle of all, or she would just someone to blame or someone to put as a pawn about something and just they'll go with it or whatnot. Or they are actually in the middle of all on this creek. But for the whole conversation about Dylan being on the PCA saying what she's saying, but then in the interview, on the interview transcript and all this other stuff, it contradicts everything that is on the PCA. Then how can we think that Dylan purposely is lying to the cops when it seems like the cops are lying about Dylan, but then they are lying about Dylan? Why? Because is it she a pawn that they could use, or they think they could use just for court paperwork effect and to put the pressure on the case? Or are they hiding that Dylan has actually more to do with the death of the Idaho 4 than what we think? Enabler, assistant, taking part of, we don't know. We can only speculate. We can only throw a theory here and there, you know. We could tell that somehow it seems like Dylan tricked Kiely to come by the house, because at the end of the day, they end up not hanging out. What was the reason for that? What was a passive reason? Was a aggressive reason cancellation? What was something that it was a problem? Jane said in her opinion that the Dylan is in it with Jack. And you see, when we mention Jack, It's very interesting to say that from everybody, if you ask me, the person that was supposed to be on the light and the under the lights and in front of the cameras, giving interviews, having conversations with the media, having conversations with the press. If you ask me, in my opinion, it should be him. In my opinion, due to it was a lot of conversation about his name in the very beginning of this case, instead of hiding, you should have came out. Because again, you don't have nothing to hide, right? And please, after I say this, because I said this about the friends, and they all came out right after I said something. So obviously, someone is watching. So don't tell me that now after I said this, you're gonna give the interview or you already gave it and it's about to come out now that I said something. Shit different. But if you ask me in my opinion, Jackety Jack, when everybody was talking about you did it and Olivia Goncalves was defending you and Kaylee's family was defending you, guess what? Why you didn't defend yourself? If you was never a suspect, how come that you had an alibi? How come that you have to give an alibi to the cops if you was never a suspect? If you was never a suspect, how come that everyone got clear but you? And with you is not case closed. Not yet. Mm-mm-mm-mm. No, no, no. Because you see, something that is called preservation of evidence is something that is called preservation of evidence. And if at some point, a combination between, prosecutional misconduct, and then, something came out that for some reason your DNA was attached to the DNA of the house, then you have to explain how that DNA got there, won't you? Hmm, it's different. I wonder about Murphy. I wonder how can the cop say on his report that he found Murphy sitting like a good boy inside of Kaylee's room with a door open. In the same way, some way, somehow they say that Sana's door was closed, but then end up being open. So what about if some way, somehow the cop said that the door was open, but it was closed? Because for what we heard and for what is being making a lot of sense, right? It seems like I believe that Kaylee and Maddie were in Maddie's room with Murphy. Yeah, yeah. By the time, the killers, because it's two different male DNA, is not one, is two. Two. male DNA, not just in the victim's nails, but also, what is called skin cells on the nails of Maddie, blood. The only one to talk about the blood on the handrail, right? But if it's blood on the handrail, don't you think that same blood that it was found on the handrail will be found somewhere else? But they only talking about the handrail. They're only talking about the DNA found in Maddie's fingernails. They try to say that is her boyfriend Jake, and that's why the prosecution, they ain't even worry about it. And court paperwork says very clear that Jake and Jack were excluded. Jake and Jack were excluded from the DNA process. That's why became inconclusive, because you end up finding out you did test that DNA. You did test it. Listen, if you ran that DNA enough to know that it was male DNA, in the same way you knew that it was male DNA, if y'all say what y'all say, that Jack and Jake give DNA samples, if it's truth, that Jack and Jake gave DNA sample, which for what I heard, I could be wrong, is a fucking lie. Because if Jack and Jake would have got tested and compared against that DNA in the house, and it would have been bingo, ding, 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 ding. What the fuck what the University of Idaho would have done? How the fuck anyone gonna explain this shit? And ain't that why they got excluded? Did you knew who it was? Because again, the wording on the report said that they offer DNA samples, but offering and giving it is two different things. They could offer DNA samples, but they could hide behind a lawyer and be like, what proof you have, like, for us to even give you any type of DNA for this? Like, what proof besides what you talking about you have against my client? Because obviously you don't have nothing against my client, because if you had anything on my client, you wouldn't be asking me for a DNA sample, you deado. A DNA sample be, you know why? If you ask me, a DNA sample will be at last when they already arrest you. That's where a DNA sample should come all through. You should have stuff, evidence, for you to go and arrest someone, and the DNA part of things should be at last to confirm the information that you already got. Not just walk backwards and, oh no, let's get DNA first, wait before we get anything else. And why you don't do anything else? Why? Because, well, I got the DNA match. Why the fuck I gotta do anything else? So then, as long as you have the DNA match, it don't matter if you got to that DNA match illegally. That don't matter no more. Because then now the final product is what it matters. It doesn't matter how you got to the final product, how you got to that DNA that you were supposed to have after the arrest to confirm things. People don't want to talk about that. People don't want to talk about real justice, because the real justice is that the cops must put the work to investigate a case to get to the point, okay, that if you already have DNA in that crime scene, it has to be other elements surrounding that DNA that it will give you probable cause to arrest that person, and will give you probable cause for you to request a DNA sample. If we really want to talk about fucking investigative procedures and stuff, just saying. So Murphy was inside an open room when, I don't know if anyone have listened to, if Maddie's door was closed or open. Had anyone heard anything about Maddie's room being closed or open, or being found open or closed? And if you ask me, there's reasons for that. Because sometimes when you don't say nothing about something, is the best way to hide it. But Santa's room door closed all the way until we found out that the door was open. Then now when we're gonna find out if it was truth, if Kaylee's door was closed or open, because for what we heard, Murphy was locked inside of Kaylee's room. That's what we heard. We don't know if it's true or not. But if you ask me, it makes sense that if Murphy was with Kiely and Maddie, and let's say these perpetrators are the people that we talked about, and they know they're about to do something, I believe that in the same way a lot of people been saying that it seems like the killer took Murphy and shut the door behind Murphy. This was talked about from the very beginning, that it seems that the killer had an emotional attachment to Murphy, because if he went there to kill, he would have killed Murphy too. He would have not grabbed Murphy and put in Kaylee's room and closed the door right behind him. And yeah, they said that Murphy was not a barker, but when you hear your owner and recognize the voice of your owner yelling and screaming, begging for help, dogs know when you are under stress. Dogs know when you are under stress, especially when the dog recognize, let's say if that was the case, two people that he loved the most, and he hear that one of them is asking for help, while the other one, God knows what he could be saying. But the opportunity of the killers, or the killer, one of the killer, being emotionally attached to Murphy, or emotionally attached to a dog perhaps, or to a dog perhaps, a dog lover, a dog person or whatnot, but it's like you're gonna love a dog more than what you love a human. You're gonna have compassion for a dog, but you're not gonna have compassion for the person that you're gonna kill. I don't know, it's very contradicting thoughts. Comment down below, talk to me. Whenever y'all watch on replay, make sure y'all comment, talk to me in the chat. Because if that door was open and Maddie's door was open, Murphy would be all over the crime scene. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. If Murphy it was left at Kaylee's room and the door was open and Maddie's room would be open and again Santa's room was open, Murphy would be all over the place, messing around, probably try like wake Kaylee up and whatnot. It'll disturb the crime scene as is Murphy was supposed to be considered as part of the evidence. I'm gonna explain why. It's certain things that don't make no sense. It seems that he moved Murphy from Maddie's room because we believe that Murphy would be in the same room with Kaylee and Maddie. They said they were sleeping, but obviously they were not. That was another lie. For what it seems, it was a lie. So I believe that, for example, if the killer was Jack the Cool, let's just pitbull and just, do imaginary situations. In my opinion, if Jack the Cool was the killer or one of the killers, when people say in the very beginning that it seems like the one of the killers grabbed Murphy, they say Murphy was found on a closed door. The Murphy was found with the door closed. But then what I'm saying, like, who found Murphy with the door closed inside of Kaylee's room? What was one of the friends? And that's the conversation that is being put out there, the conversation of one of the friends that it went inside the house. But then the cop put it on the report that the door was open. So then, how come that the sheriff, instead of sending Murphy, soon as they found Murphy, right? It don't matter if he didn't have not one drip of blood. They were supposed to take Murphy to do forensics, to make sure to comb his hair, to comb his nails, to do DNA samples and stuff like that out of Murphy. That's him being clean. If by any chance Murphy had any victim's blood on him, they needed to know if they have Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, or Santa's blood on him. Because then we wouldn't know where Murphy was at some point after the fact, if that happened. That would tell us that Murphy was not attended. So it seems like after Murphy was found, somehow Murphy was sent to a shelter. Hmm? How come that Murphy was brought up by the sheriff to a shelter, to an animal shelter, and then the employee of the shelter was told that this dog is impounded, and the only people that could come and get this dog is Moscow PD. So that there by itself tell you that that dog was not supposed to be impounded on a shelter, which soon as they get to the shelter, the first thing they get is a shower, eliminating all the evidence, any possible evidence. If any possible evidence was on Murphy, when Murphy got to the dog pound, they shower every dog that it gets to the dog pound. It gets a full shampoo. That would have tampered with any type of evidence that it would be on Murphy. And how you know that Murphy was supposed to take into the laboratory to get forensic done, referring to the crime scene? Because the sheriff told the employee of the shelter, no one gets this dog but Moscow PD. That's when you knew that that dog was in the wrong place. And then what's the shocker? What was the shocker of all? And I'm not gonna go too far into it because already it's around that time for me to move on. We could keep talking about it some other day. But the shocker is the Morphe got stolen allegedly by Moscow PD from the shelter. I repeat, Moscow PD had the keys of the dog shelter for whatever reason. They have the keys of the dog shelter, and they went inside of the dog shelter and stole Murphy. How we know that they stole Murphy? Because it's what is called a chain of custody. At that moment, Murphy was in custody of the dog shelter. For the dog shelter employee or manager, call 911 to see if Moscow PD came and grabbed the dog. That means that they broke the chain of custody of an item, a dog at this moment, that it was supposed to be processed for evidence. Ain't that some bullshit? That's what I was saying. That's what I put in the title. Well, Murphy, it's your turn to try to get justice for Kiely and her friends because it seems like the powers to be are actually trying to hide the truth, the reality of this case behind secrecy to keep the people blind of what could be happening in this case. We can only speculate, spitball, and talk about thoughts, train of thoughts, and go for the ride. But wouldn't be crazy, comment down below, wouldn't be crazy if Morphe end up being the way to get justice for Kiely and her friends? Due to Murphy was supposed to be processed to be comparable to the crime scene, if any blood, transfer blood or whatnot. Murphy was part of this crime scene and it was supposed to be considered, processed just as evidence like any other piece of evidence. The chain of custody was supposed to never be broken. It don't matter if you have the keys of the locality where you have the dog impounded. You still have to sign paperwork. Obviously, the lady didn't see no paperwork signed. Obviously, you went and took the dog and didn't left even a report or even a chain of custody paper left on the employee desk so the employee know that that dog that he was supposed to get picked up by Moscow PD actually got picked up by Moscow PD because the sheriff told you so. So that means that a dog shelter has the chain of custody at that moment. You cannot just come in and get evidence out of the impound without checking in the impound, without making yourself known, without going through a process to get to that evidence. In this case, the dog. And then what happened? You got the dog out after y'all already gave him a shower and got rid of any evidence that would be in that dog. And what the heck did you do? You grabbed the dog from the impound, and instead of after you, because you knew you already washed the dog. It was no purpose. It was no purpose. The dog already got shampoo as soon as he gets there. By the time Moscow PD came and picked it up, that dog is crispy, shiny, brand new, spanking. So there's no reason for Moscow PD, knowing that he already took a shampoo, is not even reason to process this dog. It's not they know it's not even reason to bring this dog nowhere besides to give him back to the owner, possible killer. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. I don't know. You tell me how you think about it. Deep conversation today. My apologies for starting this show with the fuckery that some of y'all love, some of y'all hate, but I'm indifferent. I say what I gotta say and I stay with the truth, and the goofy ass people sometimes needs to hear what we think about them. So like that they know how to learn how to act, cause man shit crazy. But as always, listen, I love ya. Thank you for spending time. Big shout out to Jane, big shout out to Amy. I appreciate ya. And as always, your favorite brother, your mother's favorite son, the black sheep, Jrod on point. Remember, listen, believe in yourself because I believe in you. If I did it, you could do it too. I ain't nothing special. I believe that you're gonna take the best decision in your life for yourself and for everyone around you. Love yourself, take care of yourself, so you'll be able to love and take care of others. Big shout out to all the ladies in the chat. Jane said, "Oh wow, Murphy was giving back to Jack." Yes, jackpot. Yes, that dog was never processed. Love ya. Have a good night.